The Star Wars channel and blog have just released something kind of interesting. Just completely out of the blue, we've got a video called Lucasfilm Games Sizzle. The video doesn't really dive into that much, but the blog post talks about how they're rebranding all of their Star Wars games under the new name Lucasfilm Games. Whilst there isn't too much to go into with this type of news, in reality it's just a rebranding, it does ask a lot of questions about the relationship between Star Wars and EA. And for those of you who are not aware, EA has publishing rights over all Star Wars games for the next 10 years. But that 10-year contract comes to a close in 2023. So in today's video, we're going to be exploring all of the questions surrounding this new blog post and video upload and what this could mean for Star Wars games in the near future. But before we dive into that video, guys, do you know that over 70% of you that watch our videos aren't even subscribed? So why don't you do me a solid, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, really means a lot to us in this channel. But with that out of the way, let's dive right into the video. Okay, so what you saw earlier was the Lucasfilm Games Sizzle. No, I did not make that up, that is literally the title of the video. As mentioned prior, the video doesn't really go into much. It's a nice dramatic cut of all the Star Wars games you probably have played in the last 8 years. So you got your Star Wars Galaxies of Heroes on mobile, the new expansion pack for Star Wars The Old Republic, Knights of Eternal Throne, the Sims 4 expansion pack, Journey to Batuu, the classic Star Wars Battlefront 2, Battlefront 1 never happened, so we just won't acknowledge that at all in this video. The upcoming LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, the massive Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and my favourite, Star Wars Squadrons. Besides that, it's just cameos at this point. You've got your Star Wars Pinball, you've got the Minecraft Star Wars DLC pack, and whatever Fortnite updates that were surrounding Star Wars. But with the brief overview of the video out of the way, why did they do this? Well, according to the Star Wars website, their reasoning is, StarWars.com is thrilled to reveal that Lucasfilm Games is now the official identity for all games titles from Lucasfilm, a name that encompasses the company's rich catalogue of video games and its eye towards the future. On a surface level, it just looks like a very bland rebrand. For those of you who are massive fans of LucasArts, some of you actually might know that it was called Lucasfilm Games before it became LucasArts. So the Lucasfilm Games logo looks like an odd remaster of the original one from 1987. But I think the biggest question out of all of them is, what does this mean for the relationship between Star Wars games and EA? As everyone knows, EA signed a contract with Star Wars back in 2013 that gives them exclusive rights to make any Star Wars games in the next 10 years. As of recording this video, the year is now 2021, which only leaves EA 2 more years of these rights before they have to renegotiate. Now, for anybody in the business industry, you know these negotiations start probably like 4 years before the contracts actually end. So there is no doubt in my mind that Disney and EA have been in talks about renegotiating a new contract. How those talks are going, we don't really know. It all depends on the behavior, blog posts and videos uploaded by StarWars.com and the games that EA make in the last 4 years of their contract. Now, actually, we have quite a lot of information on this already. As you have noticed, Star Wars gaming has seen a little bit of a bump in terms of cameos and even game releases. After the disaster of Battlefront 1 and 2, and EA developing a very bad reputation when it comes to microtransactions and DLC, we saw games like Star Wars Squadrons, which was a game that had no microtransactions. Once it was released, that was the game you were going to get, and that was kind of viewed as a goodwill game by EA. This is an effort to make people change their minds about the fact that EA isn't this super greedy evil company, that they can make really solid games that don't need additional microtransactions or payable DLC. So we know that EA is trying to pump out a lot more Star Wars games that make them look good. Of course, after the massive success of Jedi Fallen Order, EA is kind of scrambling to get as many Star Wars games out there. Not to mention that Star Wars is also releasing tons of new TV series as well over the next 2 to 3 years. So Star Wars is really hot right now, and EA is trying to play catch up. Of course, this is just my opinion based on the information that we were given. But on StarWars.com's side of things, the rebranding kind of tells a different story. It really does put into question whether or not EA is actually going to have another 10 or even a 5-year contract with Disney. This is definitely kind of unusual behavior for Star Wars. The rebranding wasn't just done on a whim for clarification. There's an actual story to be told with the rebranding. Now, from the information I see in front of me, something tells me that EA isn't going to be renewing their license with Disney. Something tells me that this rebranding is done ahead of time so that when the contract ends, a lot more developers can come in to develop Star Wars games with Disney. So no longer will we see one publisher tied to one franchise, which I do believe is a really bad idea, by the way. For something as big as Star Wars, I don't think one publisher should have all the rights to it. You could actually push this information a little bit further. Now, as we get deeper into this rabbit hole, this is just speculation at this point, but maybe Lucasfilm Games might become a publisher. Perhaps they want to publish their own games and bring in third-party studios to develop those Star Wars games. This could be really good for the people at Star Wars, because a lot of the lore that was developed by Star Wars games had to be thrown into Legends, and we've seen a lot of that lore be changed in canon compared to Legends. So something like this could allow Lucasfilm Games to have a very strong hold over the canon storyline, just so that we can prevent any form of retconning in the future. Not to mention, this also opens up a pathway for Lucasfilm Games to make non-Star Wars games as well. You know, going back to the old Lucas art roots. Just to play devil's advocate though, Disney went an opposite direction with Marvel games. Rather than giving one publisher the entire rights for a certain amount of years, they allowed multiple developers to come in to make Marvel games. And if I'm being brutally honest, it really did not go well for them. The Lego Marvel, PS4 Spider-Man games, and Fortnite Nexus War are the only Marvel games that I can really think of in recent memory. The one negative about having multiple developers come in to make Star Wars games is that you can make a lot of content that is really forgettable fast. Not to mention, if a lot of Star Wars games are published by different developers in a short amount of time, you're going to see player fatigue for Star Wars in the gaming scene. So every single Star Wars game has to matter. Not to mention, Disney isn't really the greatest company in the gaming scene either. Remember Epic Mickey? Yeah, that was like their big attempt at pushing themselves into the gaming scene, and both the first and second game just flopped. So there is a good reason why EA have the publishing rights to Star Wars games. But who knows, the last 2 years of this contract will be very interesting for Star Wars gaming indeed. We might see a lot more AA game releases like Star Wars Squadrons right before that contract is up. So we do know that Jedi Fallen Order 2 is going to have some sort of press release this year. We will likely see a trailer for this game in mid-summer this year. But for any other Star Wars games, well, we don't know right now. But with this big announcement of Lucasfilm Games and EA's contract coming up very, very soon, I'll be surprised if we don't see any other Star Wars game announcements besides Jedi Fallen Order 2. I did talk about this quite recently in our video about Star Wars gaming is in a bad place right now. If you're interested to hear why that is the case, you can get to that video by clicking the info card in the top right corner of the video appearing now. Or for mobile users, it will be in the pinned comment down below. But that does conclude our video for today. Now, this is actually a big question for you guys, but my question of the day is, what are your initial thoughts on the announcement of Lucasfilm Games? Do you think this is the end of EA and Star Wars games? Or perhaps you might think that this will build a stronger relationship with Lucasfilm Games and EA? And do you personally think the contract will be renewed again? Don't give me your personal feelings on this. I know a lot of people don't want EA to be renewed again. Rather, give me your answer logically. Would it make sense for Disney to renew with EA for another 10 to 5 years, or would it not? But I will pass that question over to you guys. I read all your comments as always and try to get back to some of you as well. But with that all said and done, my name is Charlie, you've been watching EcksToo, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys.